In an astonishing and unprecedented twist of fate, the United Kingdom stands on the brink of a constitutional earthquake as King Charles III, long revered as a symbol of impartiality, has reportedly unleashed a blistering reprimand upon Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. This dramatic intervention, shattering centuries of monarchical neutrality, comes amid whispers of a sinister plot by Starmer to unravel the sacred Brexit vote of 2016, a decision that promised to unshackle Britain from the chains of European Union dominance. As tensions ignite between Buckingham Palace and Downing Street, the nation watches in breathless anticipation, gripped by the fear that its hard-won sovereignty hangs in the balance. Could this be the moment when the Crown reclaims its voice to defend the will of the people? Or the prelude to a crisis that will tear Britain asunder? Dear readers, this is no mere story, it's a clarion call to action. The future of our nation is at stake, and your voice must be heard. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you stand with the King or Starmer in this epic showdown? And if you crave the unfiltered truth about Britain's destiny, subscribe to our channel now. Don't let these seismic revelations pass you by. Join our growing army of patriots and truth seekers today. Your subscription could be the spark that keeps liberty alive. For generations, the British monarchy has stood as a silent sentinel, a beacon of stability amid the stormy seas of political upheaval. Yet, in a move that has sent shockwaves through the corridors of power, King Charles III is said to have cast aside this hallowed tradition, issuing a stern and unequivocal warning to Starmer. Sources close to the palace whisper of the King's mounting exasperation as the Prime Minister pursues a course that many decry as a blatant betrayal of Brexit's sacred promise. The 2016 referendum, a thunderous roar from the British people demanding independence from Brussels' bureaucratic yoke, now lies under threat as Starmer seeks to forge ever closer ties with the EU, a move that Brexit loyalists brand as nothing short of treason. The stakes could not be higher. Britain's sovereignty, that shimmering jewel wrested from the EU's grasp, is now imperiled by a government accused of stealthily dragging the nation back into Europe's suffocating embrace. The King, it seems, has had enough. Reports suggest that Charles, acutely aware of his role as the ultimate guardian of the realm, is prepared to intervene should Starmer's actions threaten the very foundations of British independence. This is no petty squabble, it is a clash of titans, a battle between Crown and Cabinet that could redefine the nation's future for generations to come. Since ascending to power, Sir Keir Starmer has spent 6 tumultuous months weaving a web of diplomatic overtures aimed at resetting Britain's relationship with the European Union. His administration trumpets lofty goals: enhanced defence cooperation, smoother trade channels, and a so-called mobility scheme to facilitate youth travel. Yet beneath this polished veneer lies a chilling reality, one that has Brexit champions up in arms. Critics howl that these proposals are a Trojan horse, a cunning ruse to reintroduce the despised policy of free movement that fueled the Brexit uprising in the first place. Could Starmer's velvet-gloved promises mask a dagger aimed at the heart of Britain's independence? The Prime Minister's European pivot has gained urgency in the wake of Donald Trump's triumphant return to the White House, a development that has sent European leaders scrambling to bolster their military might against the looming spectre of Russian aggression. Starmer, ever the internationalist, has seized this moment to deepen ties with EU heavyweights like French President Emmanuel Macron, European Council President Antonio Costa, and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. At a recent summit, he rubbed shoulders with leaders from Canada, Turkey, Norway, and Iceland, all united in a grand crusade to fortify Europe's defences. But at what cost to Britain? Skeptics warn that Starmer's cozying up to Brussels signals a perilous erosion of the UK's global alliances, leaving it tethered to a continent that many fought to escape. Adding fuel to this raging inferno, Britain's powerful trade unions have emerged as unlikely architects of a pro-EU resurgence. The Trades Union Congress, TUC, in its first major pronouncement on Europe in half a decade, is poised to unveil a joint manifesto with the European Trade Union Confederation, ETUC, demanding a renegotiated UK-EU relationship. Their rallying cry? A stronger partnership with Brussels to secure quality jobs and workers' rights across the continent. To Brexit purists, this is nothing less than a declaration of war, a calculated assault on the democratic will of 17.4 million voters who chose freedom over subjugation in 2016. The union's audacity knows no bounds. They argue that an unpredictable global economy necessitates closer ties with Europe, conveniently ignoring the fact that such alignment could strangle Britain's ability to govern itself. Their blueprint calls for slashing trade barriers, easing border checks, and harmonizing standards on everything from chemicals to food, measures that critics slam as a backdoor bid to shackle the UK to EU regulations without a seat at the table. The TUC, once a reluctant player in the Remain campaign, now stands accused of spearheading a rebranded plot to drag Britain back into Brussels' orbit, piece by stealthy piece. Brexit's staunchest defenders are not standing idly by as this drama unfolds. A chorus of hardliners, including senior Conservative figures, has raised the alarm. warning that Starmer's flirtation with Europe threatens to unravel the very fabric of Britain's post-EU identity. They point to the Prime Minister's refusal to rule out deeper integration as evidence of his true intentions, a slow, insidious reversal of the referendum's mandate. This is not pragmatism, it is capitulation, thunders Jerome Mayhew, the shadow business minister, his voice echoing the fears of millions who see their victory slipping away. The agricultural sector, a shining success story of Brexit's dividends, now finds itself in the crosshairs of Starmer's European ambitions. The UK has soared to global prominence in gene-edited crops, a £1 billion industry that thrives on the freedom to innovate beyond the EU's stifling restrictions. Yet Brussels demands that Britain mirror its archaic agricultural standards in exchange for trade concessions, a move that could snuff out this burgeoning revolution overnight. Former Science Minister George Freeman has issued a dire warning: surrender to EU rules would betray our farmers, our scientists, and our future. The government insists it champions food security, but whispers of alignment with Brussels' gene-editing policies have ignited fears of a catastrophic sellout. Amid this maelstrom, King Charles looms as an enigmatic figure, his reported frustration with Starmer swelling into a potential royal reckoning. The monarchy, bound by convention to remain above the political fray, now teeters on the edge of intervention, a prospect that sends shivers down the spine of Britain's establishment. Could the king, emboldened by his duty to protect the nation, wield his constitutional authority to halt Starmer's anti-Brexit crusade? The very thought is electrifying, a throwback to an era when monarchs shaped the destiny of empires. Starmer, for his part, remains defiant, insisting that Britain need not choose between Europe and its historic ally, the United States. There is no plan to reverse Brexit, he proclaims, his words ringing hollow to those who see his every move as a step toward re-entanglement with EU bureaucracy. Yet the evidence mounts: secret talks with EU leaders, union agitation for a new deal, and a palpable shift away from the global horizons Brexit promised. The TUC's General Secretary, Paul Novak, cloaks his agenda in pragmatism, arguing that a fresh approach to Europe respects the referendum while boosting trade. His critics retort that this is a fairy tale, a dangerous drift toward dependency masked as progress. As Britain hurtles toward this perilous juncture, the voices of its people grow louder. Polling commissioned by the TUC, led by Labour-aligned strategist Peter MacLeod, suggests a softening stance on Brexit among union members, a revelation that has Brexit loyalists trembling with rage. Next week, trade union leaders will convene to plot their campaign for European alignment, a gathering that promises to inflame tensions with Starmer's conservative foes. The Prime Minister's allies argue that his strategy will bolster economic growth, but detractors see a £1 billion betrayal of farmers and a surrender of sovereignty in the making. The question now is this: will King Charles, the silent sovereign, break his silence once more to defend the Brexit dream? Or will Starmer's quiet revolution succeed, binding Britain to Europe's will against the wishes of its people? The nation stands at a precipice, its fate hanging by a thread. A constitutional crisis, a royal rebuke, a democratic betrayal, any or all could erupt in the days ahead. One thing is certain: Britain's saga is far from over, and the world watches, riveted, as this epic struggle unfolds.